Hey everybody, Joel and Jeremy here. It is the games of the month. It is September. Summer is over, and we've got. I know. I see the look. I see the look. Summer is over. Fall sports is here. We might get a few nice days out there, but it is fun to see those Friday night lights come back here on a September night.
It certainly is. And, it was funny. We were talking a little bit before we went on air here. You're Hutch Tigers guy. I've officially got a freshman this year at Mare Lutheran playing volleyball. So it's a fun time. And, no one loves supporting our area schools and students more than you and I do, Joel. And we're looking forward, not just this fall, but to another great school year here in 25-26. We're going to make memories like we do each and every year, and September is always the start of it, right?
That is true. Well, here's a little tease. We'll leave your school for next month. There's our tease for next month. We'll start with mine here because week 2 football, September 5th. So coming up here in just a few days, actually, Hutchinson versus Becker. In my mind, it is the Class 4A rivalry in the state. There's nothing better. For Hutch, you got the defending state champions, and you're going to their place. That's going to be a tough one.
It is, but like you said, it's a big rivalry, and Hutchinson has a lot of pride. I mean, that's a football program. That's not a football team, and that's kind of, I think, what you define a lot of these schools with is, there's a difference between having a team and having a program. And don't think for a second, these Hutch guys don't have a bad taste in their mouth from last year. I mean, they haven't experienced that very much over the course of the last decade and a half or so. So I expect, I expect, like I always expect with Hutchinson, they're going to be really, really competitive. They're going to probably even win some games that maybe some people don't think that they should win. And why not against a really, really good Becker team? And it's an opportunity early in the season that you can kind of set the tone for the final 6 weeks of the year. So looking forward to it, and it should be fun.
Speaking of good football programs, we got a good two good football programs and one good game coming up September 19th on KARP as New London Spicer will take on Dassel Cokato. New London Spicer just a few years ago was the state champion. DC has been in US Bank Stadium a couple times here in the last few years. So you talk about 3A programs right now. Those are two of the prime ones.
They really are. And, there's some hardware with those programs too. And that's what makes that fun. And obviously a great game that we get to broadcast with those two great programs. I think that, every time you get to this, part of the season, especially with programs like New London and like Dassel Cokato, practice didn't start on whatever it was, August 11th, as I look over on my calendar. That practice started the last game of last season, and that's what these kids have been building for. And it's fun. It's someone now who's around various high school programs, and you see the work and the effort that these kids put in over the course of, the 9 months in between seasons, all to culminate to now. And then you get a matchup like that, mid to late September with two teams that they have their eye on something big this year. And that's kind of one of those, like that Hutch Becker game. I call it it's a tone setter game, Joel. And I think that that's what we're going to see with New London Spicer in DC.
And then we'll wrap up end of the month, September 26th, football on KGLB, AM 1310, FM 96.1. Glencoe Silver Lake takes on Rockford. And for GSL, they've been a program trying to improve and making steps the last couple years here. And maybe this is that year where they take another step. And that one, if they can go and beat a decent Rockford team, that might be a good step in the right direction.
I think it is. And I think what you said is it's building right now for GSL. I mean, what we saw 3 or 4 years ago was we saw numbers really slip. Well, guess what, Joel? Those numbers have come back up. And, as they get through some of these classes, they really love their numbers, 7th grade through sophomores right now, and continuing to build that each and every year. And then you've got a group of seniors in there this year. This is their last go round. So, I think sometimes we get too caught up in looking at the next season or looking at 2 years from now. But for the seniors, whether it's at GSL or any program that we cover, their time is now. So it's an opportunity. And, I know Gary Kosak is excited about this group, and he's looking forward to an opportunity to coach them this year. And, the goal is, Joel, to continually get better. It starts in late August for a lot of these teams with their first game going into that Labor Day weekend, and it's all building towards MEA weekend, right? And then section playoffs. So that's a good one. Those two teams have played some great football games over the course of the last 6 or 7 years, and I'd be surprised if it wasn't another really good one come the 26th of September.
As always, check our website, kduz.com, carpradio.com, kglb1310.com. We'll have each and every week schedule updated with what games you can listen to right here. For Jeremy, I'm Joel. That is your Games of the Month.